Welcome to take two. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Extra Point. I'm Lauro Antonio. Hope everybody is getting off to a good start on their holiday season. With me today is Ben Curse. Isaiah Leon will not be with us today, so he'll be back with us for the next show. So, Ben, how's it going?
Doing good, Laura. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We got a lot of comments here on our show here, so we didn't do the show yesterday, so we decided that we are doing the show right now. So we got a lot of comments here from Justin Bosman and Isaiah Leong also tuning in here. So he says Drew Lock season. So we're going to have to get to that. So anyways, let's start with talking about the Patriots and Colts game. So we talked about a lot of this on Saturday. So, I mean, it was bound to happen. I mean, the Patriots, they've been playing really good football lately. And I think that I have no doubt in my mind that the Patriots will get back to playing good football when they play the Bills after Christmas.
Yeah, the Patriots hit a big roadblock this weekend. They didn't deserve to win the game whatsoever. They probably played one of the most sloppiest football games I've seen in them. But that's sometimes you come out of the break. You've kind of been off for a little bit of time, and I think that the Patriots really needed to kind of face a little bit of a reality check, as I talked to you on a couple days ago, and I think that the Colts have a very strong running game, which they use to their advantage. Jonathan Taylor should be in the MVP consideration, but they really don't really give it to running backs. But he should be in that consideration because the guy's an absolute animal. Obviously he capped off the game with the touchdown run, the long 67-yarder, I believe a 67-yarder per se. But the Patriots' first half was just absolutely abysmal. They Execution wise, Mac Jones obviously had a tough first half, but he responded well, which is great for his leadership as a young age in terms of his toughness and stuff like that. So it's really good to see. Now, obviously, with Kendrick Bourne being on COVID and a bunch of other guys on COVID, hopefully that they can be back for this big game on Sunday against the Bills. But Carson Wentz didn't really impress me. Carson Wentz doesn't really impress me too much in terms of a quarterback. I think Bills always had his number. It was really their offensive line and between that and the block punt and the Patriots just not being able to execute top to bottom. That was the biggest reason why they lost. I think that, as I talked to you a couple nights ago on the post-game show, that the Patriots really have to just clean up a lot of areas where they kind of struggled with. Some things that definitely just forced on them that they can. I don't know if there's some other things that they did mess up that could be season prolonging per se, but this is obviously a setback game, Laura, but as we said on the post-game show, we're not too worried, down the road because the way that they fought toward the end, and if they start just on a better note and early on in games like they've had in this big winning streak, they should be okay.
They should be okay. Absolutely. So, anyways, now with that being said here, so after talking about the Patriots game, onto the Sunday games, but let's talk about the Buccaneers and Saints game. So talk about the Buccaneers being held to no points here against the Saints, who obviously don't have a good offense this year, but their defense found a way to hold them to no points, which was impressive.
Laura, as I said in the picks league between each other, I said the Saints. There's something about them that they have Brady's number in the regular season. They know how to create different design packages to disrupt his play. But obviously the takes, the horror takes I saw via Twitter and stuff like that, social media stuff. This is a big one-off for Tom Brady. If people think that he's finished, I think people should, see what they've been saying about him being finished several years ago, and look what he's still doing. You never count out that GOAT whatsoever. Because if you count him out one time or not, he's going to lit you up. Let's just say that he lights a fire under you. He's the most competitive, fiercest quarterback I've ever had. I love him to death, and it's a big tough one. They did not play well at all. They're like the Patriots in a way, execution wise. And obviously the tough news with Chris Godwin going out for the season now with doing a torn ACL. Wish the best for Chris. Great receiver, great teammate, it sounds like. Always really wanted him on the Patriots. But really loved him and with the Bucks, great receiver there. And obviously he's a free agent out this year, so we'll have to see. He played on the franchise tag this year. So um, probably Brady would like to have him back, because Brady's a free agent next year. He has one more year at least under contract with them. We'll see how much longer he has. We're not sure. But, depending on how the Bucks kind of finish out the rest of their season, presumably they will be in the playoffs. AV will probably be back this coming weekend. Fournette looks like he's going to be out for 1 to 2 weeks. Evans right now is week to week. So, yes, Godwin being out is big, but Brady and Brown had a great chemistry before Brown got out. We'll see if that will pay dividends when he comes back. Gronkowski obviously is still there. Braid's still there. Howard's still there. Scotty Miller, he's had some chemistry with in past years as well, too. So, Godwin being out is huge. No doubt about it. He's one of the top reception leaders in the NFL this year, one of the top players on the Bucks. But, as they say, next man up. And, Brady's obviously still with a bunch of other teammates, in the past. Julian Edelman, of course, with torn ACL in the past years. It's tough to see injuries happen, but it sucks to see that happen, especially this year with a lot of injuries going on. But it is what it is, and of course, it sucks to see that. So, just a really tough game. The Saints, like you said, great defense. They didn't even have Sean Payton on the sideline too because he tested positive for COVID. This is the second straight year he's had it. But Dennis Allen, got to give him a lot of credit. He did a great job. The secondary, and of course, the Saints were obviously undermanned too. So really, the Bucks didn't really have much in terms of excuses in terms of the way that they played. They just did not play well at all. They know it, but I think that they have Carolina coming up. They have the Jets. They have the Panthers. I think they have the Panthers twice, and they have the Jets. So the next 3 games, they should have a pretty good way to bounce back and kind of get their offense back into shape or form. If they really struggled down the stretch here, I mean, there's definitely some question marks. Specifically, they have not clinched the playoffs yet. They probably still will. In terms of probably at seeding at this point, they can still be a 2 seed. Go down all the way to like a 4, possibly, depending on how the Rams Seahawks game turns out. Because I think the Rams and Dallas are right between 2 and 3 right now. So, this is going to be a big stretch down this playoff picture. And yeah, Brady just had an off one. It happens. And I was actually on Twitter. I was saying that Bill and Brady back to back had post game comments saying we did not play well, we did not execute. And one of the top Bucks reporters actually liked it, being my thing, which. It's true. I mean, the 2 goats that we've love seeing, and obviously people think it could just be the Super Bowl between the 2, and they just had bad weekends. It happens, and if they bounce back, next week, Bill goes out and beats the Bills, and Brady goes out and puts a 200 to 300 yard 3 touchdown type of game against Carolina. All this narrative, all this talk will be behind us. So it's a tough one to give the Saints credit, and that's why I picked them, because they know how to disrupt Brady.
All right. So, anyways, now we'll talk about the 2 Monday games that were in action today. So, the Raiders and Browns went head to head. So, the Raiders beat the Browns 16-14, and both teams are 7-7, still pretty much alive in the playoff race. But talk about Daniel Carlson being the hero today.
Yeah, he's really been their MVP. I'm not saying the Raiders are a bad team, but they're not a very good team. They're kind of in the middle. Derek Carr is mediocre at best. He's kind of he's in the middle of the pack, per se. They obviously moved on from Gruden a while back. They're just kind of that interesting, weird team per se. The Raiders are, but they still have Josh Jacobs. They have Deshaun Jackson. They have Zay Jones. Obviously, Darren Waller is a big part, and he was out in this game, so that's another thing. But Daniel Carlson, like you said, he's been absolute money this year. One of the best kickers. He's a great kicker. I mean, they iced him at the end of the game, and the first kick actually was good, but it was closer to the upright. The second one was even better. So just the amount of confidence in terms of a big spot like that. The Browns, obviously got to give them credit. They fought in this game. With all of our COVID situations. Baker Mayfield obviously being out was big. Nick Mullins going all the way from Baker Mayfield to Nick Mullins, and nothing to take away from Nick Mullins. He's been around this league. He's had some success here and there, but it's a big drop off compared to what they've had. Give Mullins some credit. He did drive them down the field kind of at the end for a go ahead touchdown to I think Harrison Bryant. Chubb was out there. He balled out. Njoku was doing some things, but and Donovan Peoples-Jones. But when they have a fully healthy type team, Jarvis Landry can be back. Austin Hooper could be back. Some of their offensive line, because their offensive line is an absolute machine when healthy. Their defense has some reinforcements back tonight too. But I think, and Kevin Stefanski was obviously out. So you put all those kind of into play, and I think that they still should be one of the teams in the AFC North. As you see, Laura, the AFC North is just bundled up. That's what's going to make it fun down the stretch here. A lot of those teams really play themselves head to head, kind of towards the end of this year, last couple weeks here, so it should make it even more fun. We'll kind of have to see in terms of who wants it. But the Raiders give them credit. They stole this one. Definitely wasn't pretty per se for them, but they'll take anyone at this point in the season.
They definitely can. You're absolutely right. But now let's talk about Monday Night Football with the Vikings and the Bears. And it was great for the Vikings that they needed this win, but for the Bears, they are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah. Listen, Laura, I have to watch like the Giants and stuff at home, which is very painful for me to watch. I got to watch the Jets because obviously the New York football teams are absolute garbage. I thought I would never see worse than what I saw tonight from the Chicago Bears. This team, I've never seen a team hold back worse than Matt Nagy. And though I know that you said early on the season to fire him, tonight's game was the final straw. I think Bear fans just absolutely had it. Matt Nagy is done. There's no doubt about it. If they keep him on until next season, I think that's a big war crime to a really good football city like Chicago. They deserve it like that. I feel bad for Justin Fields. I've really liked him, obviously, myself being an Ohio State football fan. If they get the right coach, their defense really played hard tonight. And those a lot of their secondary was out. Looking for Justin Jefferson was going to have an absolute great game. Yeah, he had a touchdown. He only had 4 catches though. But the Bears defense gave them a lot of chances. Their offense and special teams was absolute garbage. It was so hard to watch. And you talk about a really bad game, Laura, down the stretch here. You have the Bears and Giants a couple weeks. You talk about just 2 teams that toilet bowl galore. Just rough things. I think they'll wait till the end of the season, Laura, for Matt Nagy to be fired. There's really no point to just fire him now with not many weeks left. But man, tough for Bears fans. I feel for them. It sucks for them per se because they have top to bottom. They have a really talented roster, but it's just their coaching holds them back so much. It's just hard to gel with the GM and with a head coach that is just so incompetent than them. So the Vikings on the other hand too, Zimmer's not a great coach per se either. He's in the hot seat. They won today, but it's like, did you really win convincingly? You had a bunch of chances and you only won 17. You only scored 17 points against a secondary that most of their secondary was out, but the Bears played hard in their secondary. I know Thielen was out, but if the Vikings were playing fully at their level, they could have scored more. But Kirk Cousins had an absolutely terrible interception. I don't know if you saw the interception. That would have been the worst interception I've ever seen. He only throws 78 yards. He definitely folds come playoff time. So this Vikings team, I think, is really starting to fall apart a bit here. I think the Vikings really need to move on from Mike Zimmer as well, as Justin just mentioned. There's, and they obviously have had a lot of kicking issues to that team as well too. So this Vikings team and Bears team was the battle of 2 of the worst coaches in NFL, and we saw that on play tonight.
Yeah, we sure did. And there's nothing much to be discussed about tonight's game, and I think that everybody needs to know that, and we all know that, and we'll go from there. So
I was taking a nap during the game, Laura. That's how bored I was. I'm like, literally, Steve Levy just put me to sleep, and I'm just like, what the heck? I went to bed. I woke up. One of my college friends called me up, so I'm like, I'm gonna call him. This game's just absolutely, it sucks. So I'm just gonna call somebody. So I'm just like, you know what, move on. But yeah, Matt Nagy should be absolutely fired. No doubts. No. All Bear fans are tired of him. I think the NFL is tired of him. He's probably a good guy. Really humbling type of guy, but he's not worth down the road in terms of what their team's looking for per se at all, especially for a young quarterback. They probably want to find somebody, like Eric Bieniemy, per se from Kansas City. Josh McDaniels could it be looked at for a Bears job? I mean, he can't be any worse than Matt Nagy. I mean, Josh McDaniels. I mean, help with a guy like Justin Fields. I mean, what Jim Harbaugh? That'd be an interesting. I don't think Jim Harbaugh would be leaving though from a team in Michigan. I think Michigan really had a great year this year, so I think they're going to really want to keep him around, but still. But yeah, I mean, we'll go into some more games because obviously there's going to be more games tomorrow. So
all right, so we'll talk about that. So let's start with the Rams-Seahawks game. So,
yep.
First time we'll be talking about Tuesday Night Football in the history that you and I have done it, because last year we kind of talked about it last year because of COVID. There are a lot of games that had to be moved to 2 days. So Rams-Seahawks. I mean, the Rams have won 4 of the last 5 games versus Seattle, including the playoffs. But my thoughts in this game is that I think that I'm going to go with the Rams in this game just because I really think that I think the Rams, are going to be they're going to be ready to go. I think they have the Seahawks number, and I think that they'll probably eliminate Seattle from the playoffs.
Yeah. As much as I like Russ, this might be the final. If he gets eliminated tomorrow, the talks of moving on will start tomorrow night, Laura. I will mark my word on that.
I don't think he's moving on from Seattle. I want to say that right now. He missed a lot of time, and I think that Russell Wilson needs to have another full season with the Seattle Seahawks next season.
We'll see. I'm not saying he's going to be leaving, but I think the talks of potentially find another team could be still. And I'm not saying he's going to leave. But what I'm saying is he definitely could be in talks with some other teams if they get eliminated. Just going to be throwing it out there.
I would throw in, like, if he were to be traded, he should be traded to the Cleveland Browns for Baker Mayfield if that were to happen.
Yeah. I saw yesterday I was kind of scrolling through online, and Pro Football Focus, I think, it was a website, and they had quarterbacks in terms of some suitors. They had Russell Wilson to the Giants. Derek Carr got moved, which I don't think he would. They had him going to Washington. They had Jimmy G going to, because obviously Trey Lance could be up in the wings. They had Jimmy G to Carolina. And then they also had Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh to take over for Big Ben, which I thought was really interesting. I don't think that would happen, but
I don't think that's going to happen. The Steelers need to draft a quarterback. They need to go with Kenny Pickett.
That's who I want. Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett's their guy right now.
Are you talking about Kenny Pickett's the Steelers guy?
Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be up there, and a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of people's mock drafts, Kenny Pickett will be a Steeler, and I want him to be a Steeler. Yeah,
he just feels like he's a piece from Pitt. He went to Pittsburgh. I mean, he feels like a Pitt Steeler. So
he is, absolutely. So
yeah,
talk about who I want to win between the Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. My man Jalen Hurts, he better be ready because a lot of reports were like, oh, is he ready to be the franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman kind of were split about it. I'm like, he is. I think this game will define it. And I expect Jalen Hurts to have a really good game. He missed last week because of an ankle injury, but I expect him to have a good season. I expect Jalen Hurts to have a good game.
Yeah, so my prediction in the first game, the Seahawks and Rams, I'm going to agree with you, Loro. I think the Rams are going to win. I think, the Seahawks have obviously won the last couple, but they've beat some very less competition. Um, I think another thing too is Jalen Ramsey's back, so it's huge from COVID. They mostly other offensive weapons outside. I think Darrell Henderson. I think that Sonny Michel's been doing great the last couple weeks, which former Patriot love to see that. Odell's put on the end zone a couple times. He's definitely really got himself acclimated to the offense. And obviously for the Seahawks, they're without Tyler Lockett because he's on COVID. Alex Collins is also on COVID, one of their running backs. So DK Metcalf's going to have a game, which he can, as well as Gerald Everett, for Russ to really move a lot downfield. But I don't really trust their defense and their coaching situation. Pete Carroll's been a great coach. As Justin just said, does Pete Carroll get fired? I don't think he will, but he should be in consideration in terms of being on the hot seat, at least in their front office. They need some structural changes for sure in their front office. So, but I'm going to go Rams. I think the Rams definitely have, for sure, the more complete team. And the offensive line for Seattle definitely worries me. Now, in the second game between Washington and Philly, I'm going to go with Philly because Washington does not have one of their quarterbacks. They don't. Kyle Allen, who
they could play Taylor Heineke tomorrow if he tests negative.
Yeah, that would really kind of change my mindset on the outcome. But if you ask me right now, I'm going to go Eagles because they have Garrett Gilbert, who is nothing to take away from Pat's legend Garrett Gilbert. Jokes aside, everybody. But he obviously hasn't had a lot of time, I don't think, with Washington really. They are getting back a lot of their defensive front. They're getting Jonathan Allen back. They're getting Montrezl Sweat off the COVID list. So if they're going to win, they're going to have to win with their front along with Chase Young. So, and they could. I mean, the Eagles are a very, very inconsistent team. They can get very, very shaky. Jalen Hurts definitely has had his great moments, not going to lie. But they're just a very, very streaky team. But give me the Eagles in this one. I think that they pull it out at home.
All right. Now let's go on to week 16. So the San Francisco 49ers take on the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to pick I'm going to roll with the San Francisco 49ers because I just think Tennessee is too short-handed right now.
Yeah. I heard a report out there that the Titans might activate A.J. Brown, but I don't think A.J. Brown would be ready by Thursday on a short week. That probably would wait for him for the following week. If A.J. Brown was in this game and Julio Jones got some targets, I would maybe go with the Titans, but the Titans are still missing Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill has been absolutely they were up 13-3 against the Steelers, and I mean he just did everything in his power to lose that game. The turnover, and then he fumbled the next series after. I just can't trust Ryan Tannehill at all. I mean he's not bad, but he definitely folds under pressure when needed, and that what the Steelers really did to Tannehill was able to kind of collapse the pocket, and then he was trying to find his reads without A.J. Brown. And, Julio Jones was out for a lot of the game yesterday because he was out of the hamstring. And he just had a hard time finding reads at different guys. So, San Fran's playing with a lot of confidence. Their defense has definitely been stepping up like that. I'm going to go with Bueller. I'm going to go with San Fran and go into Nashville and win this game. And I think that Jimmy G has definitely played like a game manager in a great way. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle got their targets. So I think that they keep on rolling. I'm going to go with San Fran as well.
Absolutely. Now we have two Christmas Day games. First, we got the Browns and the Packers, and then the Colts and the Cardinals. My first Christmas Day game pick, I'm going with the Green Bay Packers over Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. And then my second pick, who I'd like, is, as much as I like Arizona, I love Kyler Murray. I think the Cardinals, regardless, they're going to make the playoffs. But give me the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. I really like how they're playing. And I think the Colts, with Tennessee being shorthanded, I think the Colts are going to win the AFC South. By the way, they're playing right now.
Yeah. I would love to go opposite on one of these picks, Lure, but I can't right now. I'm going to agree with both years again. I think that now I was telling somebody at my work today who was actually a Lions fan, though. You'd be crazy to say he had a Michigan hat on because he knows for Michigan, but he's a big Lions fan, but he's a huge Tom Brady fan. And we're talking about the game against the Cardinals yesterday. He was, as a Lions fan, he was saying that obviously it was a huge win for them, and I felt good for him. But in terms of the Christmas Day games, I'm going to go with Green Bay. They're just rolling on cylinders. Who knows how Baker's going to be coming off the COVID list. They've just a ton of situations right now that they have to deal with. And going to Lambeau on Christmas Day, Lambeau's going to be leaping. Rodgers going to be dealing. Give me Green Bay. And then Indy, Arizona, man, this would be a great game to have D-Hop, and it sucks going to be out for the whole rest of the season. Because you take away him in that offense, and Kyler's a great quarterback. There's no denying it. He's a great quarterback. But you take away one of his top weapons, and his offensive line is very shaky here and there. Colts defense, as we saw against the Patriots, very fast and very quick. Cardinals really going to have to rely on a guy like James Conner. He's been doing great. AJ Green, Christian Kirk. So they have some pieces, Rondell Moore. But I'm going to go with Indianapolis, and just because they're just going to keep on dominant from the run game, offensive line, and defense. And I think that they're going to force some turnovers on Kyler like the Lions did, and they'll pay off in the end. So, yeah, give me the Colts.
All right. So, anyways, now that being said, everyone, now let's talk about who is going to win between the now to the Sunday slate. You got the Bills and the Patriots, and we kind of talked about this on Laura and Friends last Saturday that we both think the New England Patriots will come out with a win over the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a narrow game, but I think this game will be high scoring. I think it's going to be over 20 points. I think we're going to see a Patriots 38-35 win over the Bills.
Well, Laura, I don't know. I'm going Pats too. I think it's going to be high, like mid to high scoring. I don't think it's going to be that high. I think Mac Jones could have a pick in this game, but I think that he's going to have like 2-3 touchdowns. And I think that obviously with everybody, he's going to obviously remember all the people that are criticizing him against Buffalo with only 3 passes, thinking he's not good enough and stuff like that. But Damien Harris should be back. If anything, hopefully. If Kendrick Bourne is off the COVID list, he's one of their top guys. But you force Josh Allen turnovers. He's turning the ball over there left and right the last couple of weeks. Who knows how he's dealing with his foot or whatever. Yes, he threw a couple touchdowns to Gabriel Davis. He should be wide receiver number 2 to watch out for. He's been doing great for them the last couple weeks, but they're one-dimensional offensively. I still don't have a lot of trust in their running game, and if you're not going to go deep at all with just a one-dimensional type of offense, you just can't. It only could take you so far. So, and McDermott, I think McDermott's a good coach, but I think that he's definitely been a fool of himself for sure this season. Just talking a bunch of crap online and just Dayball's definitely up and down. Yeah, I'm gonna go 27-23 New England. I think that they're gonna win on touchdown. Buffalo will be up 23-20. New England's going to score under a minute, close to top under a minute, and Buffalo will have a chance to come back. They'll try to hit some throws at the right. Big play at the end by like J.C. Jackson or sacked by Judon to kind of clinch it. But it's going to be a tight one. It's going to go down to the wire, and they're going to have to obviously play much better than they did against the Colts to have a good chance to win. I think that they will. I think that they will bounce back, play much harder. Fans, day after Christmas, play's going to be rocking, play's going to be buzzing. I wish it was there. Unfortunately, I won't, but it should be a good game.
It will be a fantastic game. So, anyways, go back to our comment section. So, Justin Bosman thinks that the Patriots will be AFC East champs. I totally agree with you on that.
Please.
And then He also says Josh Allen is Baker Mayfield 2.0. Josh Allen is better than Baker Mayfield, Justin, because Josh Allen is a generational type talent quarterback. Mac Jones is definitely already one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC East. And I think Josh Allen and Mac Jones are currently your top two quarterbacks in that division. I think Tua is going to get up there too. And I think Zach Wilson, if you give him the right pieces, I think Zach Wilson is going to flourish. And he also says that Sean McDermott is overrated. You have anything to say about that?
Kind of the way that he's been this year, he could be not wrong. I mean, he hasn't won anything in this league. He's been a good coach. But with the way that they're, the Bills should be in consideration for being champs, kind of with their talented roster, and they definitely underperform for sure. They're supposed to be really up there, kind of really up top, taking the crown away from the Patriots as of now, and they've lost a lot of tough games, and that's because of his coaching ability. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I think he's definitely progressed in terms of being a very good coach, but he might not be as good of a coach yet as people come to think, because he doesn't really want much per se. So
yes, and then also Justin Bosman thinks that the AFC East has a good group of quarterbacks. Let's talk about that for a moment. So talk about Josh Allen. I think he's the best quarterback in that division right now with Mac Jones. Not even close. I think both of them are very good. Talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Since coming back from that injury, he's played very well. He is showing that he is the franchise quarterback for Miami. And if you talk about the Miami Dolphins heading into their offseason coming up, do you expect the Dolphins to build around Tua Tagovailoa and help fix that offensive line, and also give him another receiver to go with him, and then he'll be good?
I do. I mean, well, you have to remember Will Fuller. I mean, he was supposed to be one of their deep threats, and he's out. He's been out with a setback. So you have him, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki at tight ends, Myles Gaskin in the backfield. They have some weapons there for sure. So, and the Dolphins obviously with Flores. I mean, Flores definitely should get coach comeback player type of the year. Kind of the way their season's really kind of turned around, but. I kind of did see who they wanted on their winning streak. They didn't really play anybody great. They beat, obviously a lot of the Jets and a lot of the Giants and stuff like that. But you got to give still credit where credit's due. From a team that will go 1-7, pretty much out of it. I know Tua was out for a little while, but still to go on a 6-game winning streak, and now you're in a position to not only potentially get in the playoffs, potentially maybe do some noise if you get in the playoffs, because sometimes you have to ride the wave. I don't know. They could have peaked too early. Sometimes that happens with winning streaks like this. But they're obviously give credit where credit's due, because they could have quit, with the way that things are going early on, and now they're making the AFC even more interesting between the way the Patriots and Bills have been. So it should be a really fun finish towards the rest of the season.
It should be, but speaking of Tua, let's talk about him a little bit. I have a lot to get off my chest. I mean, I was so tired of the Tua and Deshaun Watson rumors to the Dolphins, and I'm like, look, Dolphins, you're not getting Deshaun Watson. He's in legal trouble. Tua is your guy going forward, and I have 100% confident in Tua Tagovailoa being the Dolphins quarterback of the future, because I love the kid. I mean, Alabama Crimson Tide fan, which I am, a big Alabama fan, and I think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the face of the franchise at quarterback for the Dolphins. What do you think, Ben?
I think he will. I mean, I do agree with you in a way. I thought, I'm not saying that he's overrated, but I still obviously need to see a more jump in terms of the next step. But I think he's definitely grown as a player, as a passer. I mean, I agree with Justin in a way. I think Mac is better. But I do think that he has a great deep ball, and he definitely has good. He knows in terms of where he likes to throw to too. He has his vision overall. His playmaking ability is pretty good for the most part, but I think that he still has a long way to go.
Absolutely, he has a long way to go. You know that even though that Tua is in the same division as our Patriots, I love the kid, and I loved him since Alabama, and I know that he and Brian Flores are gonna get along and have a good chemistry together.
Oh, for sure.
But I also
100%.
think the Dolphins need a better backup quarterback, because Jacoby Brissett, when he started for him, he did not even Jacoby's very serviceable, but
Yeah.
I just think that you need a backup quarterback that can win you games in case Tua is hurt. But I really think that the Dolphins need to find a way to move on from Jacoby Brissett, and you need to get a better backup quarterback. If Nick Foles is available, then you get him to back up Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, to be fair, Laura, outside of really Tyler Huntley, he was considered a backup. There's not really any backup earlier in this league that really stands out like crazy. There's obviously some guys been kind of,
or maybe Gardner Minshew too.
Maybe Gardner Minshew, that could be the close in terms of anything valuable. Kind of at this time, he's still young. But look at guys like Drew. Drew Lock obviously was backup to Teddy. Joe Flacco right now is still backup. He's obviously a big veteran that knows, won a Super Bowl and stuff like that. You see kind of guys around there getting older. Remember the Texans, way back, they used to have Matt Schaub. Obviously, that's kind of a guy. It's a backup.
Yeah, or Tyrod Taylor is also a good backup quarterback too.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Dolphins maybe the Dolphins bring back Ryan Fitzpatrick to back up Tua Tagovailoa.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Fitzmagic's is a backup quarterback now, since of his injury history and all that. He can't really sustain himself being a full-time starter. But from Josh Allen to Mac Jones to Tua Tagovailoa, let's talk about Zach Wilson a little bit. Talk about him having. I don't think that this is his. I don't think his rookie season's that great, to be honest with you. Zach Wilson is all hype in his rookie season. I like the kid. Zach Wilson is a good pocket passer. He's a good runner out of the pocket. And I do think that Zach Wilson is going to be the Jets quarterback of the future. But I just think that you just got to give him a better offensive line.
Yeah, you got to get him a better offensive line. You got to find a way to use his strengths better, because there's times he forces it too much. He has a great arm, deep arm. But sometimes in the NFL, per se, you might be able to get it away out of college. He obviously went to more of a college, BYU, which obviously their competition's not bad, not great, but it's okay. One of my favorite games with Zach Wilson actually was at Coastal Carolina, and Coastal won right in the final drive of the buzzer. He definitely has great playmaking ability, out of the huddle, but he needs to really focus on, as a young kid, to stop forcing too many things. He gets into some bad situations with a bad offensive line, to stop taking sacks. Obviously, you have to get the ball out quicker, which he's had, success here and there. This past game, I think he played not terrible in this one. 170 for, he didn't throw a touchdown. No picks.
The Jets kept it close with the Miami Dolphins. I was thinking that the Jets were going to get shellacked for the rest of the game, but you know what?
Yeah.
The Jets, they're playing pretty hard. They're going to keep games pretty close, but I think that if they played the Patriots in December, then I think they would get shut out.
Yeah, so Zach right now is on the season. He has 6 touchdowns, 1,911 yards, and 11 interceptions. So, if he really wants to, progress his game, he's definitely going to have to really start, worried about the interceptions, and he's going to have to start really being humble about, the way that he goes out and does his business. He does a great job doing that, but he's going to have to stop forcing stuff.
Yes, he's going to have to stop throwing the ball. And I think that and then Justin also wants to know that while we're in the Jets topic, does Robert Saleh get fired? I'm like, look, Robert Saleh shouldn't be one and done.
No,
all of this is not his fault. Robert Saleh is a good coach. He's a good motivator. He's right for the Jets. And I think that the Jets front office is not really that good, but Robert Saleh is the right coach for this Jets rebuild. And give it time with Robert Saleh, the Jets will find a way to make it more interesting with the Patriots, the Bills, and the Dolphins in the near future if they get the right pieces on the roster.
I totally agree 100%. Robert Saleh is definitely their guy. He's a great coach. He just has to really get himself, year by year, he's going to have to really, motivate the guys to get even better. He's really kind of rebuilding still a lot of their roster per se. So, yeah, I wouldn't fire him per se at all. He's definitely the right, the way that they want to go in their next, process of their franchise. He just does a great job. But they have to really kind of see where they go now here.
If I want to add here that his defense right now, it's not really that good. He's supposed to make that defense for the Jets a strength, but I think it has to do with injuries, and I think that the Jets need more pieces on defense.
100%.
But I like Robert Saleh. I mean, even though I hate the Jets as a Patriots fan myself, I don't hate Robert Saleh. I like the guy. Great coach, great motivator, fire and energy. And I think he's a better coach than Adam Gase was.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Adam Gase was an absolute clown. Per se.
Gase was a joke. He's a puppet. He ruined Ryan Tannehill's career. He ruined Sam Darnold's career. I think Robert Saleh, and then you get Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. I think Mike LaFleur is the right coordinator for Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give it time with this coaching staff. And
Joe Judge should not be fired. There will be a lot of Giant fans that will disagree with me, but Gettleman should be probably the first one fired. I'm not saying it's not all Joe Judge's fault. I mean, he definitely should put a lot of blame in terms of their disappointing year this year with all they got talent-wise. But I think you're right, at least for one more year, and then from that, you should reevaluate where you go from there.
Let's stay within our division. So, number 1 pick versus number 2 pick in the 2021 NFL Draft are going head-to-head for the first time. I'm actually looking forward to this matchup because, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, this could be the game that we could see Jacksonville get a win here. Does that happen? Do you think it will happen? As much as I hate the Jets, as much as I hate the Jets, would I want them to win this game? They could potentially win this game, but at the same time, I'm going to go with Jacksonville just because I go for every team that plays against the New York Jets, just to be honest with you, with only exceptions if they play. With the only exceptions is like if they play the Bills, if it's like for the division, then I would have to go for the Jets because of that. But most of the time, I go for every team that plays the New York Jets. Because I don't like the Jets. With all my heart and with all my passion, I want Trevor Lawrence to beat them.
I'm going to go with the Jets.
Oh, my God, man. Why?
Both teams aren't very good, but the Jets at least have been close in games. They were back-to-back with Miami last week. The Jags just don't score a lot. They really don't score a lot of points. The Jets have been able to at least beat some teams that have been in the playoffs consideration over the course of time. So I'm going to go with them in a close one, like a 21-17 type of game.
Or I think it could be higher than that because both defenses are so bad.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that the Jets will win, but it'll be close. It could go really either way because neither team is very good.
Early speculation is who do you think is going to have the number 1 pick? Is it going to be the Lions? Is it going to be the Jaguars or the Jets? Who's going to be the favorite to be the number 1 pick in the 2022 draft?
I'll probably have to go Lions. I think that they definitely should be the number 1.
They should be, but they won. They beat the Cardinals. So if they lose to the Falcons, then I think it drops them back to being the number 1 overall pick.
You could be right. You could be absolutely right. So we'll see.
Anyways, now let's talk about the next game we're going to talk about is let's go to the LA game. So the Rams are taking on the Vikings. The Rams are 9-4, and the Vikings are 7-7. Matthew Stafford knows the Vikings pretty well. So, anyways, I'm going to pick the LA Rams to win this game because their defense is going to get to Kirk Cousins. I think Matthew Stafford is going to have a really good game.
Yeah. I'm going to go Rams too. I mean, I think they really ride out the ship. You know, the Vikings are so consistent.
Yeah, the Vikings, one time, they've been a streaky team so far this season. And then we'll talk about the Chargers and the Texans. So not much time to waste to talk about this game, but I'm going to pick the LA Chargers to win this game for obvious reasons. Number one, I think Justin Herbert's going to have a field day. Without Austin Eckler, the offense is going to look pretty different, unless if he tests negative twice. If Joey Bosa's on the field, I think the defense of the Chargers is going to make an impact on this game.
Gotta go Chargers too.
And then we'll talk about the Giants and the Eagles. You might get this game, but I'm going to pick the Eagles in this game. I think the Eagles will go 8-7 by week 16.
I'm going to go Jake Fromm starts in this game for the Giants, and I think Jake Fromm gets a win. Going with the Giants.
And the Giants, you think, will sweep the season series with the Eagles?
Yeah. That'll be their Super Bowl.
Probably not, but we'll see. But now the McCaffrey-less Carolina Panthers take on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm actually going to pick Tom Brady and our boy Tom Brady and the Bucs to win this game because I think that Tom Brady was so mad in that loss against the Saints. He's going to play with fire in this game. Just watch.
I think the Bucs will win, but I think they could have a rough offensive game. But I do think that they will get some touchdowns via the run. Ronald Jones, I think that Cam's all done. He's shot. I love Cam, but maybe Darnold comes back. Who knows? But Matt Rule should definitely be on the hot seat as well. He should definitely be somebody I've not mentioned, but he definitely has been a disaster for them lately. So I'm going to go with the Bucs in this game, and their defense is a big reason why.
And then talk about the Lions and the Falcons. So, I mean, the Lions won their second straight game, but I don't think they're going to win this game. If they get a third win, it takes them out of the conversation of them being the number one pick. Like, it depends on if Jacksonville wins against the Jets. So, basically, they're teams that are still fighting for that top pick in the draft. But I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons in this game. I think they'll find a way to keep their hopes alive for the postseason. But the defense of the Falcons really concerns me. It is
Falcons
atrocious.
What is it? Falcons what?
Falcons and the Lions.
You know what? I'm going to go Lions.
Why?
Because the Lions are just going to play free.
Yeah, they're eliminated from the playoffs, but Dan Campbell is leading this team in the right direction.
Yep, going to go Lions. Going to ride that train for 1 week.
We'll talk about the Ravens and the Bengals. So, I think Lamar Jackson will be back in this game, but I'm going to pick the Bengals because it's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase, and I think that the Bengals, I think they're going to get a statement win. I think they're going to sweep the season series with the Ravens.
As much as I want the Bengals to win, they seem to never sweep this team in a season series. I'm going to go Ravens.
All right, now we'll talk about the Bears and Seahawks. It's a game with a team with teams that have both losing records, and both of these teams could be eliminated from playoff contention. I'm going with Russ and the Seahawks.
I'm going to go Russ too. I mean, the Bears are so bad. So bad.
Justin Bosman also made a point here. He thinks John Harbaugh should be on the hot seat. And I'm like, no. John Harbaugh is the right coach for the Ravens.
Yeah, he's definitely have a great legacy there. He's just a very, very aggressive-minded I'm not saying he's an idiot, but he's just very.
He's just aggressive. He's very intense.
Too aggressive. He's
sometimes aggressive. Too aggressive with his play calling.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then we'll talk about the Steelers and the Chiefs. Ben Roethlisberger versus Patrick Mahomes. Soon, I think it's going to be the Kenny Pickett hour in Pittsburgh. I can guarantee that.
Steelers who?
Steelers and the Chiefs.
I'm going to go Chiefs, yeah. Steelers, even a lot of the wins, they've been having to win by turnovers. Big Ben, obviously, is getting close to this end of his career. Chiefs are rolling. Give me the Chiefs. Even if Kelsey is out, because he's on COVID. Give me the Chiefs.
All right. So, anyways, now that being said here, talk about the Broncos and the Raiders, both 7-7 teams. Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be even playing in this game. So I feel so sorry for him. He has a concussion. I've obviously felt sorry for him that the injuries that he's had to deal with. He hasn't even gotten a chance to be a franchise quarterback. But you know what? I'm confident that Teddy Bridgewater will have a chance to be a franchise quarterback. But I still think that it's with Denver.
Oh, yeah, I did too. But he definitely should have some suitors out there, including the Saints.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Bridgewater's a gadget quarterback,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm gonna pick the Raiders. I think Drew Lock's not gonna have a good game, but Drew Lock is a bust. And I thought that the Broncos found their guy when Drew Lock started the last 4 games of the 2019 season. I thought he was going to be their guy going forward, but he tells me he's not.
I'm gonna go Broncos because why not? We'll have some opposite picks to kind of give it an interesting little view angle, I guess you could say.
And then let's talk about the Washington football team taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is not playing great, but I think that he can redeem himself in this game. I mean, Washington could have Taylor Heineke back, but I'm going with Dallas to win this game.
Going Washington.
And then for Monday Night Football, both teams are 7-7. And I am going to pick the Miami Dolphins to win this game because I think Tua Tagovailoa is going to have a good game. Tua Tagovailoa is going to have a field day against that Saints defense. And I think for the Saints, they're streaky. One week they win, and I think this week they'll lose.
I'm going to go Saints.
And why do you go for the Saints?
It's at home. Defense obviously is building off in terms of the way that they played. Kamara's back. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm going to go Saints.
Also, when we talk about, before we end this, let's talk about some injury updates. So which injury is huge? Like, do you think that losing Chris Godwin on the Bucs is big for the Bucs? I think it's a huge loss.
Huge. Without a doubt, it's huge.
Chris Godwin is a great receiver, and losing him to an injury like that, it tells me that Tampa Bay might not even make it to the Super Bowl, but hey, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady could have get Mike Evans back.
Mm-hmm. Now you get AB back.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you'll have AB coming back. Leonard Fournette will be off a couple weeks. Yes, Godwin's out. Sucks for the year. But Scotty Miller, he'll have some. He'll definitely try to have to just get reunited back with some guys that he's had some trust with in the past. Cameron Bray, OJ Howard. Not sure about Gio Bernard, but he still has a bunch of guys in his repertoire. And if Evans is still there and Gronk and stuff like that, I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So let's talk about the hot seat coaching rank. So number one on my list is Matt Nagy, then Mike Zimmer. Would you put David Culley up there too as number 3?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep.
And then I also think, who else do you think's on the hot seat besides those 3 guys I've mentioned? I'll put Vic Fangio up there too, just in case.
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule, and then 5 would be would it be a combo of Vic Fangio and Zach Taylor?
Yeah, I'll probably go, both, yeah.
I think that if you look at it, I think Zach Taylor might go because I think Joe Brady is probably going to want to be the head coach of the Bengals.
I think as much as I don't think Joe Judge is going to leave until possibly next year, if anything, I think he should definitely still kind of be like the low list of anything.
Why do you think he'll be on the low list?
Because I do think that there will be some pushback. Giants have just been so average for the last several years. We'll see, but I don't think he will. I don't think he'll get moved. Also look at for Pete Carroll in the offseason too to maybe get moved on from as well too. Would not surprise me one bit.
Let's take a look at our playoff picture. So, if you look at the conference standings right now, the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Titans, and the Bengals are your division leaders. So, leading up to these couple weeks, do you think the Patriots will be the number 1 seed, or do you think Kansas City is the number 1 seed again?
Kansas City. I mean, that loss that the Patriots had against the Colts and the Chiefs when it definitely separates. The only way, I mean, the Patriots have to win out, and the Chiefs would have to lose at least one of their games out. I mean, they could lose to Cincinnati at their place. They could lose to Denver, but Denver has no great quarterback. So they have a hostile environment in Denver on a cold night. Things could happen. Of course, we've seen the Chiefs at their best right now, but they've definitely been very beatable as well compared to a lot of teams. Patriots, I think they're not going to be the 1 seed. That's my hot take. I do not think that they're going to be the 1 seed. I think they're going to be in the 2 to 5 seed range.
That could happen too. So basically, the wild card, the Colts, the Chargers, and the Bills are 8-6. Do you think the Bills are still going to be in the playoffs?
Yes, because of their favorable schedule. Even if they lose the Patriots, they will be a wild card team.
Yes, and then talk about teams in the hunt. I think the Miami Dolphins will get the last spot. And what do you think?
I think Cleveland will be in the last spot.
Why do you choose Cleveland over Miami?
Just because I really like their defense, their offensive line's much stronger, like their running game, and I think just head-to-head conference schedule as well. I think that the Dolphins have had a great run, but I think they'll come up a bit short. Right now, they're 4% of making it as of right now. So,
all right, now let's talk about the NFC playoff picture. You got Green Bay in first place. I mean, your division leaders are the Packers, the Cowboys, Tampa Bay, and Arizona. Does Green Bay remain on that number 1 spot in the NFC?
Yes.
And do you think
they're the best team right now to me in the NFC?
And then let's talk about here the wild card, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Saints. They're both 9-4, 8-6, and 7-7. So do you think that the Rams will win the division over the Cardinals?
I do. I think the Cardinals are really starting to fade out.
And do you think the Cardinals still make the playoffs?
Yeah, they'll still make it, but I think they're going to be going on a tough note. They're not going to be going on the right ride trajectory in terms of the way they want to play.
And then the Saints are in the last wild card spot with San Fran. Does San Fran stay in?
Yes. I think that the 49ers do make it in.
And then what about bubble teams like the Eagles, the Vikings, Washington, and Atlanta is still alive, and Seattle is still alive? If they lose to the Rams tomorrow, could you just say you put their season to bed already?
It's already done, but it'll be finally after tomorrow night.
All right, let's get to some final thoughts here. So first off, Justin, you're the MVP. Thank you for commenting on this show. And also, everybody out there, for those who are watching, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we're actually going to be on the air again the day after Christmas to talk about the Week 16 games. And then this next week, we'll be talking about we'll have a New Year's special. So also want to give my thoughts and the announcements that I'll have for everybody here is that don't forget sometime next week on New Year's Eve, Callan McClurg and myself will be hosting the New Year's extravaganza. So be sure to check that out. So, Ben, if you're free, you can hop on and join the MI6 team for the New Year's extravaganza, as I will host the East Coast portion of it with the East Coast friends, and then Callan and I will be doing the West Coast portion as well. So want to get that out there, that the New Year's extravaganza will be next Friday, December 31st, time to be determined. I'll still have to talk to Isaiah and Callan about that, and we'll go from there. And Ben, what are your final thoughts?
Thanks for a great show. Had a great time, as always. Thanks for Justin, our MVP, to come in, chime in, and do what he always does as well. And yeah, hopefully there's going to be more. Thank you, Justin. You have a great holiday as well. And everybody that joins in week by week, obviously the ones that are true supporters for making this always possible. Laura, I'd obviously like to send you and your family, and obviously Isaiah, who's not here, John, everybody that's part of the M16, West Coast to Coast as well. Everybody a safe, happy holidays. And definitely looking forward to what, at least for me, the new year and everything brings as we're getting to the end of this year.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday season. We'll see you again on the 26th for the next episode of The Extra Point. Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophy. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophy. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I got what it take to be a champ. You know bars life, you should come and join the camp. Title after title, put my rivals off the map. Thought you had the trophy till I came in for the snatch. I was born in it, not sworn in it. I ain't come to play, my wrist mean all business. Running like a mimic, check my jersey authentic.